How's it going, RWBY fans? So it has been a little bit since I actually uploaded some RWBY related content onto my channel. The last one I uploaded talked about future RWBY content on my channel, and this is the start of that. So it's been over a week since Rooster Teeth actually uploaded the finale chapter to Volume 4 onto their YouTube channel, and every single fan who loves RWBY and watches RWBY uploaded their reactions to YouTube as well. I did that too, and you can actually find that on my channel, but I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about Volume 4 as a whole. And this is gonna kick off my RWBY content that I'm gonna be calling my road to Volume 5, because Volume 5 comes out in the fall of this year, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I want to do RWBY related videos, either theories, discussions, so that way we can get the buzz talking about Volume 5 before it comes back in the fall. And to start that off, I think it's better to retread what we already have in Volume 4, because I think talking about this volume, it's a very special volume for RWBY, because not only does it break ground in a lot of fields, but it's a very bold and adventurous volume that Rooster Teeth decided to undertake moving forward from the events that happened in Volume 3, because Volume 3 was a very huge, monumentous volume just because of the events that happened during the closing chapters of that volume. Because not only do we have the death of Penny in that volume, but we also saw the loss of Pyrrha, and the loss of Pyrrha and Penny, and seeing how it affected all of our main characters within the world of RWBY and how they were going to move forward within Volume 4. So now, I have to just say right off the bat that I thought Volume 4 was a very good volume, a very bold and adventurous volume as well. I can't tell if it's my favorite for right now, considering it's so fresh in my mind and it's just come out so recently, it hasn't had time to breathe yet, but I can say overall, it was a very good volume. It does have its flaws here and there, not big flaws, it's just probably nitpicks or stuff that I wish that they covered more in the volume, but I want this video just to be an overall discussion of what Volume 4 was able to bring to the table, and either what I liked about it and maybe what I thought they could have done better, and then just having the discussion continue on in the comments of this video about what you guys' overall thoughts were on Volume 4. So just to get right into it, let's just dive right into Volume 4 of RWBY. So as I've been stating, Miles and Carrie are the main writers of RWBY for right now, and Monty Oum was the creator. And I think that Miles and Carrie have done a fantastic job with carrying on the story of RWBY and just being able to take it in such an adventurous and bold way, because if you think about it, this chapter separated most of our main girls from Team RWBY. We had Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang all being separated from one another, and it was up to Miles and Carrie and the whole RWBY crew to basically give enough screen time in a way to all of our main characters to where they could develop and grow over the course of the volume, and then lead them to basically reforming the team and coming back together somewhere by the end of the volume, which tends to be where it's leading to, but also to see that Volume 5 is going to see the culmination of Team RWBY once again, and I'm really looking forward to that. This volume also dealt with exploring the world of Remnant. We got to go outside the borders of Vale and Beacon, and now we're actually exploring the outside worlds of Menagerie, of Mistral, and Atlas. We haven't seen much of Vacuo in that dragon place that seems to be on the map but never gets mentioned, but we're starting to delve more into the world of Remnant and actually explore all of the areas that this world has to offer, and that's really exciting to see. And it's also allowing us to actually get more character development for all of our characters, which is also a nice thing to see as well. But the main topics that I want to cover in this video deal with just what this volume was able to bring to the table. So now, these key points that I want to talk about in this video are the animation quality and just how much it went up this volume. I also want to talk about the new costumes and the new characters that we got introduced to this volume, and then also with the new Grimm and villains that we also got introduced to this volume, and seeing where the groundwork is going to be laid to where future volumes to come with Volume 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, going on down the road, where this leads to with introducing other new characters, but also seeing that the new characters that get introduced, how they grow and how they actually interact with our characters that we've come to know from the first 3 volumes. So like I've been saying, this volume accomplished a lot, so these are the points that I want to delve into, and the first thing I want to talk about is the animation, because the animation for this volume was bar none way ahead of what anything that volumes 1 and 3 were doing. I liked the new look, I liked how fluid the animation was, and actually felt like these characters were actually moving correctly or more human-like in a way. And I think that Rooster Teeth, upping whatever they did, increasing the crew on the back end, either increasing the budget and also the software that they've been using, I think adds to the overall fluidity and just how overall the motions and the expressions and the emotions that the characters were able to bring improved greatly from Volume 3, because Volume 3 was also a big step upwards from Volume 1 and 2 animation, and Volume 3 was a big step forward, and it gave us that, you know, that tournament arc, and I thought that was a big step forward. But then once the Volume 4 trailer came out and the overall Volume 4 as a whole, going from chapter to chapter, I thought the animation was stupendous. I thought the crew did an amazing job, and I just want to give a round of applause to the whole crew, the animation team that works on RWBY, because I honestly think they outdid themselves, and I just can't wait to see how gorgeous and how fluid and how awesome Volume 5 is going to be when it comes around next fall. So the next point I want to talk about delves into the new costumes and the new characters, because this volume not only introduced to our other characters that we've come to know from Volumes 1 and 3, they've got an updated look, they got new costumes, but then they've also gotten to interact with new characters get introduced to this volume. So now, talking about the new costumes, I love a lot of the new costumes, and usually new costumes get introduced to show characters either growing over a course of time and having character development. And so, using RWBY as an example, her costume is actually more revealing than what she was wearing from Volumes 1 and 3. So this shows that she's actually grown over the course of the time skip that we've gotten between Volume 3 and Volume 4, but also her costume is more tattered and it has cuts and scrapes on it. So it shows that she's been on the road and she's actually experienced some battles either with Grimm or any other people that have gotten in their past. So it just shows that her growth over the course of the volumes, like time skip, we can see that she actually has experienced some development and some growth, and the time on the road has affected her in some way. And this goes with a lot of the characters as well. You know, talking about Team Ranger right now with Jean, with Ren, with Nora, all their costumes are dope and I love them. Weiss, Blake, and Yang. I think Yang's by the end of the volume is possibly my favorite costume out of all of the previous characters that we already knew from Volumes 1 and 3. Her new costume is badass, and I love the new arm. The new robotic arm she has is just amazing. But delving into, you know, besides the new costumes, we also got new characters this volume, and we actually got a lot of new characters, and I'm not going to mention them all right here, but I actually wrote down just a few of them, and I think that these were like the main staples of the volume. I think that stood out the most, and I think deserved to just be mentioned for Volume 4, because the first person we got introduced to out of the new characters besides the villains was Oscar. Now, a lot of people were wondering what this guy was, or a lot of people thought it was a girl when he first got introduced, because no one was sure about it. Just was a girl with short hair, but it turns out over the course of the volume, this is actually Ozpin's successor. This is someone that actually has Ozpin's soul intertwined with his, and the fact that this character right now has a new destiny put forth in front of him, and it's up to him by the end of the volume to actually venture out from his aunt's farm in Mistral and actually going to Haven Academy, meeting up with Crow and Team Ranger, and actually getting to see what it is that Ozpin's leading him onto in his next journey. And this is actually something that is very interesting to see what the future volumes, especially with Volume 5, is going to be seeing the interactions of Oscar with Crow, but not only that, but Oscar with RWBY, Ren, Nora, Jean, and then once Weiss, Blake, and Yang show up as well. I think that's going to be a cool interaction to see, and what their thoughts are going to be on the fact that this is going to be the new Ozpin of their group and how they're going to react to that. So besides Oscar, we also got Whitley and Jean, or as I like to call Shitley and Jockstrap. These characters, I mean, oh my god. Well, I feel sorry for Weiss for having to grow up with these people in her life, and it kind of makes sense to when you go back and watch Volume 1, her character, how bitchy she is in that volume. You kind of understand now why she was so bitchy in that volume, because she had to grow up in a household with Jockstrap and Shitley. I understand, like, I could say I hate these characters, but I love hating them. Like, that's the one thing I like about villains, or at least bad characters, or at least characters that are written to be bad, is that I like them because they provide growth and development for our characters that we love. And if you don't have a character that's like written badly, and it's like if you don't love to hate them, then why even have them there? So I like the introduction of them, even though I do hate their characters. But Klein out of that group, I think, was like the sunshine for Weiss within that household. Klein was just a spot of sunshine. Seeing his personalities too, you know, him being like written and inspired by the 7 dwarves of Snow White is very interesting to see. I love his different personalities, and the relationship he has with Weiss just shows that Weiss at least had a friend within that household growing up as a child, and I just love that relationship that Weiss and Klein have. But the last 2 characters I want to mention are Blake's parents. I love Blake's parents. Gira and Kali are like probably the best parents to either be shown represented within like the overall RWBY world so far. I mean, they are such loving parents. Kali is the cougar, no pun intended, of everything. I think she's got such a fun personality, but she's like a hot mom at the same time. I love their interactions with Blake, but also Sun as well. And I love seeing how loving and nurturing they are towards Blake, and that they brought her in after her being absent for so long in their house, brought her in, welcomed her in, and even though like Sun wasn't able to warm up to the father so much, he was definitely to win over some points with the mom. And I just love, like, especially with the last chapter 11, watching Kali fall through the door like Sun did. It was just a funny moment, and just having these new characters introduced, but also have the new costumes with our characters we've already known, just shows that this was a fun volume, and I just really like that this volume is able to bring so much to the table. But you can't talk about new characters without actually talking about the new villains that got introduced in this volume, as well as the new Grimm. Now, talking about the new villains, Salem got introduced by the end of Volume 3, but we didn't know anything about her character other than the fact that she was talking during the beginning of Volume 1, but also with the World of Remnants in Volume 2. And the fact that she was narrating, giving us all this exposition, and to know that the narrator was in fact the main villain or the main antagonist that Team RWBY was going to be facing in the endgame was a fascinating concept, and actually getting to delve more into her character this volume, getting to see what it is that makes her tick. What is her overall endgame? We don't know that much yet, but we do know that like over the course of the volume we've gotten hints at, and especially with help from Crow, that there's these relics that she's after, and she wants to basically cripple and demolish all of the four kingdoms with the four schools that get introduced, with Vale, with Vacuo, with Beacon, Haven Academy, Atlas, and then Shade Academy. All of these places she wants to destroy, gather these relics, and then shape the world into what she sees fit. So I'm definitely interested to see what Volume 5 brings for her character and future volumes to come. But we also got introduced to 3 of her underlings. Besides Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury, we have 3 other characters in her group, and we didn't get introduced to or didn't dive too much into Watts and Hazel. We just got introduced to their characters. Watts is right now in Mistral at Haven Academy talking with Professor Lionheart, and then Hazel is off to meet with Sienna Khan, but we don't know too much about their characters yet. The one that got the shine the most during this volume was Tyrion. Now, I just have to take a moment because I love this character. Tyrion is such a fascinating character, and I love the psychotic nature that he has overall, and that he's brought into RWBY. When we got introduced to him in the first chapter, that psychotic and chaotic laugh that he gave in the beginning of this volume kind of showed what his character was going to be, and that's when I fell in love with him right there. I love chaotic villains, and the fact that he's been involved, and also the Crow versus Tyrion fight was so awesome, and him coming back, trying to forgive or ask for forgiveness from Salem and not getting it, and the overall psychotic nature of him taking out all of his anger and frustration out on that Grimm in chapter 11. I can't wait to see what his character brings to the table in future volumes, especially in Volume 5. And I'm also wondering too, is if his tail is going to grow back, or if he's going to get something attached to his tail, and to see what he ends up doing, or what's he ends up going after, because he has a vendetta against RWBY and the gang, and to see where that goes in future volumes, I'm very excited to see. But also the new Grimm this chapter, or this volume for that matter. The new Grimm, we got introduced to 4 new Grimm this volume, and they're not really more animal-like. They seem to be delving more into the fairy tale and fantasy aspect of creatures. So now, the 4 that we got introduced to this volume was the Geist, the ghost-like Grimm that was able to, take the forms of rocks and inanimate objects. We also got the Sea Dragon, with Blake and Sun versing the Sea Dragon. We also got the Seer, which was like this jellyfish-like Grimm that was able to, inform all of the Grimm out on the battlefields, and then, get the word to Salem, and then, back and forth communication with them. And then the best Grimm, this is my favorite Grimm of all, this Nukkalavi Grimm that got introduced to slowly but surely and foreshadowed throughout the whole volume, until we got that big climactic end with the fight with Team Ranger, and the Nukkalavi Grimm was absolutely amazing. I fell in love with this Grimm, and I can't wait to see if there's other Grimm like the Nukkalavi Grimm that show up later on in the volume, because being able to see that Grimm and how tough it was to beat, if it shows up again, I wonder how our team is going to handle it once it shows up again. So far, I got to talk about the animation, I got to talk about the new characters and the new costumes, I got to talk about the new Grimm and the new villains, but the last topic I want to cover before the end of this video is just the overall character development that we got with all of our characters, because this chapter was more about character development than anything else. It was about seeing how our characters, after the events of Volume 3, what their journey was going to be to get them back onto the overall journey that they needed to go on for the Volume 4 and future volumes to come. So now, like I said, the ending of Volume 3 affected them all. Now, looking at Team RWBY in general, RWBY has like PTSD dreams going on right now, and I really hope that we delve more into those when she was like kind of like seeing like silvery sparkles everywhere and hearing Pyrrha's voice. It only happened in one episode, and it was in chapter 2, and I kind of hope that that gets delved into more, or if that's just going to be a one-time thing. I kind of hope that that is something to do with her silver eyes, and it deals with, you know, the PTSD that RWBY's going to be dealing with, and it's going to lead to her character development later on down the road. And now, Weiss's character development basically dealt with her coming to terms, or at least overcoming her father, how oppressive he is, and her escaping that overall hell that is her household. And knowing that, like, her coming to terms with, you know, her father's not a good person, her brother's not a good person, and the only family that she truly has is Klein and Winter. And, you know, knowing that she's able to summon now the Knight from the White Trailer that she was able to do this volume, and her now seeking out Winter in Mistral. I'm very excited to see where her character goes. Blake was very interesting this volume because her character development dealt with her rekindling stuff from her past, going back to her family, rejuvenating that bond that she had with her father and mother, and then coming to terms with, you know, what happened at Beacon, with her friends, with what happened to Sun, and also what Adam kind of brought to the whole Beacon massacre, and then her coming to the realization that in order to right the wrongs of her past, she not only has to destroy the White Fang, but she needs to retake it back and then, you know, put it under a new leader, a new image, and have it go forth being with a group of good than rather being a group of evil. So I'm really excited to see where that goes in the future volumes, and especially how Volume 5 is going to deal with that as well. And now Yang is kind of a mixed bag, because I did love overall her character development throughout this volume. Her getting to learn that she can't overuse her semblance, having Tai Yang tell her it's like you were basically having a temper tantrum throughout all of Volume 3, and that's how you won your matches, and it can't save you out of every match you have. I love that character development, but I think in the beginning, I wish we delved more into her PTSD and trauma that dealt with, you know, losing her arm, losing to Adam. We got hints of that when we first got introduced to her this volume, when she dropped her glass and she had that like spike of fear pop up. I kind of just wish the volume was a little bit longer and we had more time to look at Yang, because I think that would have been really interesting to see her come to terms with what was holding her back, and to overcome that, and then, you know, to the spot where she puts on the robot arm and then starts fighting with Tai Yang. I think that would have been something I really wanted to see, but I still loved it nonetheless, seeing her, you know, go through fighting with her father, you know, coming to terms with that, spray painting the arm was absolutely awesome, and then hopping on her motorcycle Bumblebee and heading to Mistral, heading to find RWBY, and to team up, you know, have that classic team up of Team RWBY back again in Volume 5. I'm really looking forward to that. But what was interesting about this volume was that it delved into Ren and Nora. Jean got a little bit here and there, but I mean, I don't think he got too much character development, which I kind of wish he did a little bit more. But this volume, I think, was Ren and Nora's volume. Ren and Nora were side characters that a lot of people were interested in knowing more about, but we never got the chance to in Volumes 1 through 3. But now in Volume 4, we actually got introduced to their backstory, how they met, and what happened to their village and their parents. I mean, not really much Nora's parents, but Ren's mother and father, and how this Nukkalavi Grimm was terrorizing their village, and how it was kind of like the demon from their past in a way, and how they had to slay this demon in order to move forward from this thing that happened in their past, so that way they can, you know, go on with the rest of their lives knowing that they at least did something, they avenged the people that they loved, and they don't have to worry about that anymore. Overall, guys, I think that Volume 4 was a success for Rooster Teeth. Again, the nitpicks that I have, I'll go into more depth as I make more videos on my road to Volume 5, but I think they did an excellent job with the amount of chapters that they do for each volume, and I'm really excited to see where Volume 5 goes. But this is where I want to hear from you guys. I want this to be a discussion of Volume 4, so overall thoughts of all the topics that I brought up, either be with the animation, with the new costumes and new characters, with the new villains in Grimm, but also the character development that we got to see in this volume. Leave comments down below about what you guys thought about what they did for Volume 4. Did you guys agree with me that these were some highlights? Did I miss out on any highlights? I know there's a bunch of highlights in this volume, and I'm bound to miss some, so definitely let me know in the comments below, and let me know your overall thoughts that you guys thought about Volume 4, because I thought it was a really good volume. Again, it could have probably been better here and there, but overall I think it's a great addition to what we already have with Volumes 1, 2, 3, and now Volume 4 of RWBY. So that's my overall thoughts, guys. Again, leave comments down below and subscribe to my channel if you guys haven't, because I'm going to be doing RWBY possibly every week with at least one video coming up, whether it be a theory, a discussion, just overall thoughts leading up to Volume 5, which I'm really excited to do. So definitely subscribe to catch all of that, and leave a like and comment down below. I definitely want to hear you guys' thoughts and see the overall love that you guys have for RWBY, much like I do, and just how much we love this overall series. So that's the end of this video, guys. Until I see you in my next RWBY related video, or any other video that you guys find interesting on my channel, I'll talk with you guys then. Alright guys, see you later.